I woke up in the middle of the night, drenched in cold sweat. There was no sound, just a heavy silence pressing against the walls. I reached for my phone, but the screen stayed black and lifeless. The clock on the wall had stopped at exactly 3:03 a.m. I felt like something was watching me from the shadows of my room. I turned on the light, but it flickered and died immediately. My heart raced. I grabbed a flashlight and walked into the hallway. The air was dense, like the house was holding its breath. A strange noise echoed from the living room, a soft, dragging sound. I stepped carefully, trying not to make a sound myself. The sound stopped as soon as I entered the living room. Nothing moved. But my reflection in the window blinked and I didn't. I stumbled back, confused, heart pounding louder in my chest. I ran to the front door, but the lock was jammed. My hands shook as I tried to open it again and again. Suddenly, I heard footsteps upstairs. Slow, steady, deliberate. But I lived alone. No one should be there. I crept to the staircase, shining the flashlight upward. The hallway above was swallowed in darkness, nothing visible beyond the top step. I called out, "Who's there?" My voice sounded weak and distant. No answer. Only a faint creaking, like someone shifting their weight. I climbed the stairs, one at a time, trying not to breathe. As I reached the top, the flashlight flickered and buzzed. A door at the end of the hall slowly creaked open by itself. I wanted to run, but my legs felt rooted to the floor. The door revealed my old bedroom untouched for years. I stepped inside, flashlight shaking in my hand. On the bed lay a mirror, old, cracked, but strangely glowing. I looked into it, and saw myself standing behind me. I turned around, but no one was there. When I looked back, the reflection was smiling. I wasn't. It raised a hand slowly and pointed behind me again. I turned faster this time, still nothing. Just silence. But the reflection now looked afraid, mouthing silent words I couldn't hear. I leaned closer. The glass surface rippled like water. Then, without warning, a cold hand grabbed my shoulder. I spun around, the hallway was empty once again. The door behind me slammed shut with a deafening bang. I ran to it, pulled, pushed, but it wouldn't move. The mirror's glow grew stronger, casting dancing shadows across the room. I heard whispers, soft and sharp, circling me from nowhere. They repeated my name over and over, faster each time. I dropped the flashlight. It rolled, revealing a figure in the corner. He looked exactly like me, same face, same clothes, same fear. But his eyes were pitch black, and he smiled too wide. He spoke without moving his mouth, "You shouldn't have come back." I backed away, but hit the wall. The room began to shift. Walls stretched, the ceiling twisted, the floor turned to smoke. I stumbled toward the mirror, now pulsing like a heartbeat. Without thinking, I reached out and touched the glass. A pulling sensation grabbed my arm and yanked me forward. Suddenly I was falling, spinning through endless darkness. I landed in a hallway that looked like mine, but wrong. Everything was mirrored, left was right, right was left. The pictures on the wall were of me, but slightly off. In one photo, I was missing my eyes. In another, I was smiling while standing beside a coffin. I kept walking, afraid to stop. The hallway never seemed to end, doors kept appearing and vanishing. One door opened by itself, revealing a room full of clocks. Each clock ticked backward, and none matched the others. I stepped inside, and all the clocks stopped at once. A voice whispered, "Time doesn't move the same here." I turned around, the door had vanished. Now there was only a window, looking into my real house. I saw myself asleep in bed, breathing slowly. I banged on the glass, screaming, but the figure didn't wake. Then, slowly, my sleeping self opened his eyes and stared at me. He smiled the same too wide smile as before. Behind him, a shadow leaned closer, whispering something into his ear. He sat up, turned toward the window, and reached out his hand. I pressed my palm to the glass, hoping for escape. But the moment our hands touched, he pulled me inside. Suddenly, I was back in my room, or so I thought. Everything looked normal. The lights worked, the clock was ticking. I sighed in relief until I noticed the mirror. It was still glowing, still cracked, still humming with energy. I covered it with a sheet and backed away. I opened the front door, it creaked normally this time. I stepped outside into the cold morning air. Neighbors were walking their dogs like nothing had happened. But something felt wrong. Everything looked slightly too perfect. I walked down the street, unsure of where to go. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number, "You're still not alone." I turned slowly and saw my reflection in a store window. It wasn't moving. It just stood there, smiling again. I blinked. It didn't. I ran.